It sucks. It is part of business ownership, and that is one of the hardest pills to swallow, is failure. This one directly falls on me. It is my fault that the account was not done on a consistent basis. The fact is that our customer retention rate is above 98%. I need to be able to go in the market and acquire this type of worker. And that's been another thing. And what I think has happened is that employees that have been with the company pre-2020, so they've been employed 4 or 5 years with that same company, and or companies that have around 3 dozen-ish or more employees, appear to not realize that essentially they've priced in their employees. No different than somebody that bought a house in 2020 at a 3% mortgage rate. Essentially, their employees are priced in because they can't afford to quit, because prices are so expensive. We're in a weird spot where larger employers are similar to McDonald's in the sense that you know what you're going to get when you go to them. You're going to get your $17 an hour. You're going to here's your standard rate of raises over the next 2, 3, 5 years. You get benefits. This is where you're at. That's McDonald's. I am more like a sit-down restaurant. I'm not steak. I'm not a seafood restaurant, but I'm more like a sit-down restaurant where I'm more hands-on. When you deal with me, you deal with me and my wife. I have a couple part-time techs. I'm going to soon hopefully be adding another part-time technician. And next year, this thing gets figured out with full-time technicians, when increases and everything come in. Again, this comes back to how do I regain control of this rather than being reactive? I have to wait till I get towards the end of the year so I can approach companies, people, and say, these are your rates for next year. I'm kind of priced in right now with contracts and everything. But that's going to change, and I'm already trying to address that and meet that head on and just be honest and objective with people. That's why I'm making the video today. I'm trying to be accountable to myself. I'm trying to be honest and objective. And I would like to look back in a year or two and go, man, the issues we had in 2024, whew, glad we don't have them now. Hey everybody, Chris Shipley Pest Solutions, in the evening here, afternoon. Long day, was out the door, up around 4, out the door around 5. Back home, thunderstormed all day. Couldn't do any exterior accounts. Got some commercial accounts done, but we got fired from an account today, and so that's never a good thing. But it's always a good time when things, good or bad, but we always seem to, we seem to reflect on things when bad things happen to try and figure out. But I think it's just important when it's good as well, when good things happen. So, my wife and I, immediately were like, okay, what happened here? The complaint was that we haven't provided regular service on a consistent basis over the course of the last couple of years. That's true a couple of times, not the entire time, but regardless, once a customer gets to the point where they decide they're going to call and they've already decided in their mind, it's a breakup, it's a divorce. And so it sucks. It is part of business ownership, and that is one of the hardest pills to swallow, is failure. This one directly falls on me. It is my fault that the account was not done on a consistent basis. And it's something I've been working towards for the last 2 years, and we haven't had the best employment luck. I could complain about other reasons or issues, but it doesn't really matter. And so what's been important for my wife and I is to sit down and just talk it out, reflect, and go, okay, what could we have done? Oh, we had good communication here, dropped the ball here, we didn't do this here, we did this here, and just kind of, pick up the good parts, address the bad parts, and move forward and try and become a better company. The other thing when looking at things like this, is for us to remain objective. And the fact is that our customer retention rate is above 98%. And the majority of customers we lose, which is a handful each year, are due to death or selling their home and or business. And so that's the other thing to put in perspective, is that it still makes us just as responsible, for not providing that consistent service. Again, it's on me. My name's on the truck. We've looked at those issues, and we've already addressed some. And so some of that is just better overall communication, why we couldn't do a certain service on a certain time, and just basically being overly communicative with customers. And so it's always a dance back and forth of, you don't want to bother the customer too much, which has been our aspect. We didn't want to bother the customer. In retrospect, that turned out to be as if we weren't doing our job all the time because we weren't communicating with them. And so they felt as though we were dropping the ball, which we were on some services. And so, so correct, adapt, improve, move forward, which leads back ultimately to why are we behind? Currently, as it sits, we're probably about 5 days behind now on our second applications of the season right now, or second and or third. And rain today, it's going to thunderstorm tomorrow, and it looks like thunderstorm Friday and or Saturday, both. So we're going to head into the 4th of July probably behind like 6 days. Not a good scenario, not what I want. It is getting remedied. Next year, the things I'm already working on now, it's really getting remedied, which leads back again, as I said, to the employment issue, which also leads back to the raising the price issue, raising prices substantially. And so those discussions have been going well with customers. I've just been telling them, hey, we're at this price. Your price is going to raise $12, $15 a month next year. I understand if you don't want to keep us, but this is where I need to be because of this. I need to be able to go in the market and acquire this type of worker. And that's been another thing that has sort of irritated me. I talk with a wide swath of people, and lots of business owners, lots of C-suite guys, management, plant managers, stuff like that. And so I keep my ear to the ground when it comes to employment, hiring, things like that. And I've gotten this a couple times from people where, well, I don't understand why you're having employment issues. Like, we don't have those issues. And what I think has happened, we are in the middle of 2024. Inflation is rampant. I don't care what the government or a newspaper says. Inflation, look at your prices everywhere, and look what they were a year or two ago. Everything has increased substantially. And what I think has happened is that employees that have been with a company pre-2020, so they've been employed 4 or 5 years with that same company, and or companies that have around 3 dozen-ish or more employees, appear to not realize that essentially they've priced in their employees. No different than somebody that bought a house in 2020 at a 3% mortgage rate. Because what has happened is that inflation has surged so much and wages have not kept up at all. And so whether it's general labor, whether it's skilled labor, whatever type of labor, what I've recognized in these few people that have made the comments like this don't recognize is that essentially their employees are priced in because they can't afford to quit, because prices are so expensive that a person that might be making $17 or $17.50 an hour as a general laborer, and they might on the open market be worth like 22-ish with benefits, they're not job searching right now because they're stressed about a car payment, a student loan payment, a home payment, the kids' braces, the kids are going to play sports, it's summertime, they want to go on vacation, they deserve a vacation twice a year, they work hard. And so I think all of these people are sort of priced into their jobs or their positions right now and are afraid to go ask for raises or do the thing that Gen Z's doing, which is literally just job hopping every 18 months, and they get that 5 or 10% boost every time they hop jobs, which leads to a whole nother issue, which is this massive brain drain that we have going on in companies where you end up with guys that are working in the front office, not guys in general, people working in the front office in general that have job hopped 4 or 5 positions starting at 23 or 24 fresh out of college. They get their starter job. 12 months later, they go work at another job now that they have experience. 12, 18 months. And by the time they're 30, they're now 5 rows up and now they're at $110,000 a year. But they don't know what shipping or what widgets are made or how anything works out in the plant because all they did was job hop, job hop, job hop. And so now you have a hollowed out shell of a company where the people in the front office don't know what's going on because you don't have the people that worked 30 or 40 years and worked their way up through and understand every single position or most of the positions very well. So that thing's a whole nother issue. But how do I know or how can I make a guess or an assumption that people are broke or they're priced into their employment? Credit card debt's at an all-time high, mirroring 2009, 2010, late recession vibes. Late dates on mortgage payments, heading into default. The same with auto loans and student loans. And had the government not just helicoptered money and poofed $100-some billion of college loans away, that was already starting to go red last year. People were being delinquent. Those articles were coming out last October, November. And so we're in a weird spot where larger employers are similar to McDonald's in the sense that you know what you're going to get when you go to them. You're going to get your $17 an hour. You're going to here's your standard rate of raises over the next 2, 3, 5 years. You get benefits. This is where you're at. That's McDonald's. I am more like a sit-down restaurant. I'm not steak. I'm not a seafood restaurant, but I'm more like a sit-down restaurant where I'm more hands-on. When you deal with me, you deal with me and my wife. I have a couple part-time techs. I'm going to soon hopefully be adding another part-time technician. And next year, this thing gets figured out with full-time technicians, when increases and everything price increases. And so I'm realizing here that I have to have a different approach. I'm not the drive-up. I'm not the drive-through where you say, I'll take a number 5, work for 5 years. I know my pay scale. I get benefits. And I'm going to get a 45-cent increase a year. I'm not that. I'm the sit-down restaurant. Let's find technicians. So my hiring pool is predominantly between like the age of 22 to about 50. And then we are working with chemicals and products and things like that. And you do have to be personable and be able to talk to people. Not the best, but like that is part of the job. And you do have to be able to assess problems and come to a conclusion and figure out, okay, like this, and a lot of that's training. I've developed some things to help aid in training, and I've tried to get better as a leader. I always try and say, like, I'm trying to set the table for you. So when you sit down to eat, you know what you're eating. And I've tried to own a lot of that and become better myself because I need to get better at that. So again, I'm not going to lament about, the job market or woe is me. I'll own the last basically 16 months. That's on me as far as employment issues go. But I do kind of take issue with the fact that people just flippantly, I don't have an issue. And then you don't care about their driving record because they're not driving your company vehicle that's hauling pesticide, that if you get in an accident, it's an immediate hazmat call, which is over 10 grand. And then your insurance and all that, yes. Again, this comes back to how do I regain control of this rather than being reactive? I have to wait till I get towards the end of the year so I can approach companies, people, and say, these are your rates for next year. I'm kind of priced in right now with contracts and everything. But that's going to change, and I'm already trying to address that and meet that head on and just be honest and objective with people. That's why I'm making the video today. I'm trying to be accountable to myself. I'm trying to be honest and objective, and I would like to look back in a year or two and go, man, the issues we had in 2024, glad we don't have them now because I want to be better. I'm trying to be better, and I take one account canceling on us very personal. It is what it is. And I think most people that know me and understand know that I'm going to do anything within my power to make you happy. And if we're not doing something, please communicate with us, because I would rather you over communicate with us than just call us randomly and say, I'm canceling your service. So, yes, we could always do better. We're trying. Like I said, I was up at 4. I was out shortly after that. I'm working 60 plus hours a week. We've got the part-time help rolling. We're going to be adding more. So once we get into July, I can do that. But it's much, much harder. You know, the barrier of entry to just bring somebody on is not as easy as it is driving up and ordering something at McDonald's. We're going to keep getting better. I apologize that we're behind. We're trying, I promise. We're going to keep grinding, and we're going to get things done in a timely fashion. And if you have questions or you have concerns or issues, always get a hold of us. That's the thing that you know, if you reach out to us, even if we're behind, we will always make it a point to get to you within a day or two. I mean, almost always address those issues. And so we're trying. I know this has been an issue. I own the issue. It's on me. I have not done a good enough job. I'm trying to fix that. We're going to be fixing that really in the next 30 to 60 days here. And then, you know, because I'm going to be adding another truck and spray system here within the next 2 weeks. Actually, probably by next week, I'll have the other truck and spray system going. So I'm getting there. This is a small family business. You know, I don't want my wife out in the field having to be a technician and the office manager and a mother and a wife. I take this stuff personal. And so again, we're grinding. We're trying to get through the season, and then we're trying to course correct and really regain control of things next year, moving into next year. We're going to raise rates considerably. I've already been doing the numbers. I've already been working a bunch of stuff out. That's just where we have to be able to continue to provide a great service and continue to satisfy the great customer base of all of you and the great referrals that you guys send us because we do a great service. You know, it means the world to me. It really does. That's why I don't have a problem grinding and working long hours and long days, because I know so many of you are so grateful and appreciative of us, and you've rewarded us with years and years of service, years and years of continued service. Writing us checks year after year means a lot. So, yeah, we messed up. Try and learn, move on, get better, address the issues at hand where we definitely dropped the ball. And I'm trying. We're trying to fix them. Like I said, I'm going to have the other truck and everything going in a week if I get the parts. And I know next week's the 4th. But yes, so I'm trying. But there are reasons as to why I can't just throw people out there and why I will not just throw technicians on the road. You know, I can't sacrifice my entire business for the sake of, unfortunately, some upset customers because we're behind. You know, the full-time employee, obviously, I wanted the full-time employee to work out. Completely blew our plans up for the year. But our bed has kind of been made, and so now we're dealing with what we're dealing with. We're trying, and I appreciate all of you. Appreciate your kindness, your patience, the kind words. So many of you have also said, you know, you get to us when you get to us. We know you're good for it. That means the world to me. But I also don't sleep well because I know we're not living up to our best potential. But it's just temporary right now. And so, yeah, always trying to improve and always trying to listen when people say, hey, this is an issue, and course correct and keep moving forward. Thank you, guys.